This is the Scholarlynk news for 14th December 2020. After operating for a month, Singapore's Cruise to Nowhere by Royal Caribbean encountered a problem recently. It was thought that there was an outbreak on board, but this turned out to be a false alarm. An 83-year-old man tested positive for coronavirus on board the ship, even though he had earlier passed a pre-boarding test. However, the Health Ministry later announced that two subsequent tests came back negative. All passengers and crew members were later allowed to disembark after being confined to their rooms. They also underwent rapid testing before they could leave the terminal. Singapore's Trade and Industry Minister said that resuming of economic activities involves some risk and that contact tracing and isolation protocols were put in place to manage situations such as this. In addition to Royal Caribbean, Genting Cruise Lines was also given permission to operate cruises to nowhere from Singapore. The latter's ship is continuing to operate. Think about it. Do you think Singapore has enough safety measures in place to operate these cruises? Why do some people risk their lives to go on holiday? A Bitcoin mining operation that could mine 17 million Malaysian ringgit every 4 months has been smashed by the police. However, the crime that the operation is charged for is not mining of the cryptocurrency, but for theft of electricity. The gang operated out of three premises and used an estimated 90,000 Malaysian ringgit of electricity supply each month to power their computers. They set up illegal electricity connections to bypass electricity meters. Officers discovered a total of 240 processing units used for mining the cryptocurrency, and there were industrial fans used to cool down the equipment. It is estimated that the electricity bill for each premise is about 30,000 Malaysian ringgit, but the meters only showed 500 Malaysian ringgit of usage. The operation had been ongoing for about 2 months before their arrest, and one of those arrested had a prior record of stealing electricity. Bitcoin mining involves using many powerful computers that solve complex mathematical problems. Think about it. Why do you think the suspects were willing to risk stealing 90,000 Malaysian ringgit of electricity when their operation could earn them about 4 million Malaysian ringgit a month? Is there more to this story? Indonesia went ahead with nationwide regional elections, with more than 100 million voters expected to show up at voting centers. This is despite warnings that the elections would worsen the COVID-19 crisis in the country. The world's third largest democracy went ahead with the elections, despite critics warning of the risks, as many did not practice wearing of masks or safe distancing measures. 270 positions are being contested, including regional governors and mayors. The polls are staffed by almost 3 million election workers. Some will have to take ballot boxes to hospitalized patients. At least 5 candidates have died, and more than 1,000 election agency staff have been infected with COVID-19 to date. There are more than 580,000 infected Indonesians, but some worry that this figure could exceed 1 million after the elections. Voters have also had few opportunities to interact with candidates or understand their strategies amid the pandemic. Think about it. The elections were already delayed once. Why is the government not delaying it again, now that a vaccine has started to be delivered to Indonesia? So far this year in China, public security organs had solved 5,281 long pending cases involving death and captured 4,601 fugitives. Some of these cases had been unsolved for over 20 years, and some of the fugitives were on the run for more than 20 years. The Ministry of Public Security said that the development of science and technology and the improvements to detection mechanisms boosted the public security organ's abilities to solve such cases. About 70% of the cases involving death which were solved this year used new technology such as new DNA technology, new fingerprint algorithms, and big data analysis. Some of these new technologies began to be popularized in some provinces and cities at the beginning of this century. Before 2000, fingerprint comparison was done manually. From 2000 onwards, automatic comparison technology and the deep learning algorithms of machine learning from 2016 onwards made it much more efficient to do large scale comparisons. Think about it. The number of cases involving death have dropped to a record low in China. Do you think it is because criminals are more aware of the higher detection rates in the country and this has acted as a deterrent? Environmental scientists have issued a report confirming that the North Pole is heating up twice as fast as the rest of the planet. The record was set in 2012. The sea ice floating in the Arctic Ocean melts in the summer and freezes again in the winter. However, it is now melting a bit more in the summer and refreezing a bit less in the winter. For this year's summer, half of the sea ice melted, and the ice is thinner and more fragile. Scientists are now able to get reliable data on this from satellite photography over the Arctic. Unlike the South Pole, which is more isolated, the climate in the North Pole is affected by the climate in the rest of the world. Recent readings show that the air temperature at the surface of the Arctic was 1.9 degrees Celsius higher than the average for 1981 to 2010, making it the second hottest year since 1900. Sea ice is both an indicator and amplifier of global warming. Although its melting does not contribute directly to rising sea levels, it does contribute indirectly by heating up the water. Some estimates project that there will no longer be any sea ice in the Arctic between 2040 and 2060. Think about it. How would you go about educating your friends and family about the effects of global warming? What more can be done to help in the fight against global warming? This brings us to the end of today's edition of the Scholarlynk News. Please remember to subscribe and click on the bell icon to be notified of our new videos. As always, this is the Scholarlynk team wishing you goodbye and have a wonderful rest of the day.